Wah, wah, wah. Goldfinger. He's the man with the Midas touch. That spider's oh, hello. Um, Talking about Goldfinger. Got to thinking about it, wondering if Goldfinger's plot would actually work. Um, I was looking at this purely from a scientific point of view. As I was doing research, I came across an article which looked at it from an economic point of view, which I will discuss as well. Just might as well throw that in there. I might disagree with the article. I'll let you know that in advance. So the article is called How Economics Would Have Spoiled Goldfinger's Sinister Plot If James Bond Hadn't. Long name. It relies on information taken from a book, Lawrence White, The Theory of Monetary Institutions, in which he apparently used Goldfinger as a example. The article uses some other things. So the article has four main reasons why it disagrees with why this would work. First two come from the book. First is jewelry. So the point they're making is all gold, the value of all gold would increase. So basically, Goldfinger's plot was contaminate the gold in Fort Knox. Now his private reserves are worth more. He had a little over 602,000 pounds worth of gold. But the article, the book and the article quoting the book say that all gold would be worth more, not just his private reserves, which is true. Now, not a problem. I mean, gold's still more valuable. But the 2 points that the book makes, which the article quotes, first one being that people's jewelry now. I have gold jewelry, it's worth more. I might be more apt to sell my jewelry if it's worth more. Might be is the key word here. So several factors to look at. First off, my gold jewelry, if I had any, which I don't, that's already accounted for in the value of gold. Even though it is jewelry, someone mined it, someone bought it, packaged it as gold, sold it. So it is not new gold. And the second point is people who own gold jewelry and stuff like that don't necessarily look at it as an investment. They don't follow the gold market as close. Some of it just this is a family heirloom. I don't pay attention to the gold market. Others would look at it as look, I just saw on the news where the price of gold has doubled. My necklace is worth twice as much now. If I hold on to it, it might double overnight a second time. So just because it's more valuable, some people would hold on to it hoping it would go up in price again. Because, again, the people who own this don't necessarily know how the gold market works. So just having the gold and seeing that the price is going up, some would be tempted to hold on to it for even longer. The second point that the article makes out is other gold is more valuable. By other gold, I mean gold we don't have. There is a gold mine out in Siberia somewhere. It's too expensive to get the gold. It's we'd have to build a railroad out there. We'd have the weathers to deal with, all that other stuff. Well, Goldfinger contaminates Fort Knox. Gold is worth more. Maybe it's worth the cost to build this railroad to go out there and get the stuff. That makes sense. However, until we actually mine that gold, it's still not going to affect the price. The argument the article makes is that we're going to just mine all this new gold, replace what was contaminated in Fort Knox, and the price of gold will stabilize back to where it was to begin with. And that's going to take time. I don't know. I would estimate 5 to 10 years, maybe, just because we know the gold's there. We still haven't. We don't have the infrastructure to get it. We have to build that. Another thing with that is Goldfinger has gold. His gold reserves went up. The price of them went up instantly. So I now want to go and mine this got this gold mine that wasn't worth mining yesterday. Now it's worth mining because a bomb went off in Fort Knox. I need money, capital to do this. Goldfinger has capital to invest in it now. So, yes, I am putting more money on the market, but if I have brought Goldfinger in as an investor, then he's getting a share of that new money. So he spends some of his gold to get even more gold back, even as the price starts to stabilize and go back to where it was before he set his bomb off. He's increasing his reserves more. So he's still going to end up with more than he started with. We have to remember at the beginning of the movie, James Bond was investigating Goldfinger for smuggling gold. He was buying gold in England, shipping it to, I believe, India, selling it at a higher price because the price was higher in India, which is all legal. The only thing was he didn't want to pay the duties and fees and taxes to ship the gold, so he was smuggling it, and that's the illegal part about it. So basically, the silliest part of the movie was that the Secret Service was called in to investigate tax evasion. But it wasn't until sometime during this that he learned of Goldfinger's plan to blow up a bomb in Fort Knox. Even then, it took him a while before he even learned. He knew there was a plan involving Fort Knox. He initially thought he was going to try to rob Fort Knox. And so, like I said, if James Bond hadn't stumbled across the plot, then Goldfinger could have gotten away with it. No one would have known he was involved. So when it comes time to, I want to open up this gold mine because now gold is more valuable, I would have no reason to suspect, Goldfinger says, I'll back you in this. Okay, well, I don't know that he was behind the bomb because no one knew about it. So he could have gotten away with it. He could have made money. Again, it was James Bond stumbling across Operation Grand Slam, which is the only way anyone knew that Goldfinger was behind the plot to blow up Fort Knox. Okay, the third thing. We are on paper money now, and paper money backed by gold. And that's one thing the article mentions, paper money backed by gold. And that's its big flaw in that one is, they're saying the gold's still in Fort Knox, the paper money is still good because the gold that backs it is still there. And for you and me and the other common men on the street, yes, we rely on the fact that gold's in Fort Knox. And or more to the point, we don't try to exchange our paper money for gold. The whole point of gold being backed or gold backing paper money is the paper money can be exchanged for gold. On the international market, people are going to look at this and say, no. Your gold's contaminated. We can't trade paper money for it anymore. We aren't going to. And then the fourth, and here's where the article goes way off track as they try to get into science. Radioactive gold has the longest half-life for radioactive gold is a little over 3 days. So he contaminates the gold, it'll decay in a couple months, and we can use it again. Wrong. See, this is not what I was going to look at when I was looking at the science behind this, but the article pointed it out, so I'm going to talk about it. Neutron activation. I take an atom, I bombard it with neutrons, it might absorb one of them, maybe two of them, and it becomes a new isotope. So we have gold, let me see, 197. That is pretty much all naturally occurring gold on Earth is gold 197. It is stable. I bombard it with neutrons. If it absorbs one, it becomes gold 198, which has a 2.6 day half-life, something like that. Let me see here. 2.7 day half-life. I continue to bombard it. It might go up to gold 199, which has a 3.1 day half-life. So I now have radioactive gold, but it's got a short half-life. Problem is, both of these elements, or both of these isotopes, are beta emitters. So I took gold, 197, I had it absorb 1 or 2 neutrons. It became another isotope of gold. Same number of protons, more neutrons. Both of these, 198 and 199, are both beta emitters. Beta decay is a neutron breaks apart into a proton and an electron. The proton stays in the nucleus, changing the element, so our gold is no longer gold, it is now mercury, and then it shoots out the electron as a beta particle. So, yes, radioactive gold has a short half-life, but when it decays, it turns into another element. So, if that's what was going on, we would actually be losing gold. But that is not what Goldfinger's plot was. Goldfinger's plot was to contaminate the gold with the fallout of the nuclear device he planted, not gold. So there are several isotopes. The 4 longest lived ones are americium-241 with a 433-year half-life, cesium-137 with a 30-year half-life, strontium-90 with a 29-year half-life, and iodine-131 with an 8.3 day half-life. The iodine, we could wait till it decays, but we wouldn't want to mess with it because you don't want to get radioactive iodine in your system. It'll mess with your thyroid, and if you get thyroid cancer, nasty stuff happens to you. The other 3 are long enough that, yes, we don't want our gold contaminated with it. Now, I was looking at this and I think, wait a second. I've worked in the radiation industry. Couldn't we just clean the gold? We can decontaminate stuff. Nuclear device goes off. Fallout is in the air for about 24 hours, so they say don't go outside for 24 hours because you don't want to breathe the fallout. After about 24 hours, the fallout will settle, and then it's safe to go out. The radiation is not as strong as people say, as long as it stays outside of you. You breathe it, it gets inside you, it does more nasty stuff to you, but as long as it's outside of you, it's at safe levels. So why don't we just go take the gold bars out of Fort Knox, decontaminate them, and we have our gold back. It would be faster than trying to set up a new mine somewhere. But I got to thinking of other stuff. So first question is, Saddam Hussein had like 12 bunkers, bomb-proof bunkers, which supposedly he slept in a different one every night so we couldn't nuke him. And whenever we hear about bomb-proof bunkers, which, Fort Knox, I don't know if it's nuke-proof or not, but whenever we hear about these, the idea is that the bomb's going to go off outside of the bunker. Goldfinger put his bomb inside Fort Knox, so even if Fort Knox was a bomb-proof bunker, would it have survived? Maybe. Or it would have just weakened the structure, and would we have this big nuclear sinkhole where Fort Knox stood, and then we'd have to dig out the gold before we tried to decontaminate it. All sorts of problems like that arise. We could still do it though. It's still protective suits. Containment suits aren't lead lined, they just keep you from getting the fallout on you. So use some caution, protective suits. It would take a little longer, but we could get the gold out. Could we still decontaminate it? Problem number 2. The melting point of gold is about 1063 degrees centigrade. The Hiroshima bomb. The fireball it created had a surface temperature of 6,000 degrees centigrade. How long would the heat last? I don't know. But we've got the bomb goes off hot enough to melt gold. It wouldn't melt the gold instantaneously. Again, if the bunker managed to contain the explosion, then maybe it would stay hotter because it would contain the heat as well, so the heat would be there longer. We don't have to completely melt the gold. We just have to get it hot enough to meet the surface of the gold bars, which I think would happen. Then the fallout, the cesium and americium and other radioactive elements fall on the gold. Then the bars cool again, and now it's not a matter of just washing off the bars. Now we got contamination embedded within the gold, and that's a little harder to deal with. We also have the problem that even if the gold doesn't melt completely, if just the surface of the gold melts, we get this stack of gold bars. So instead of having these 20-pound bars of gold, we have this pile of gold bars fused together, weighing thousands of pounds. So we can't just take it out easily. Now, in the movie, I've never been inside Fort Knox. In the movie, they had a big room with all the gold bars in piles or stacks. I doubt that's the way the real Fort Knox is. I would imagine it's smaller rooms with gold in it instead of one big room. So some of it would be protected from the fallout. Some of it would be protected from the initial blast just because it's got walls between them. It's not all going to be protected from the heat, though. So even if we had rooms full of gold and not getting contaminated, they would still be fused together. And we'd still have to make the gold more movable in order for the market to work with it. So I think Goldfinger's plan would have worked. Not exactly like the movie said it would, but movies get stuff wrong. And that's pretty much it. Have a good day and happy gold hunting.